Hello, welcome to the last Right Stuff of the week with me, Matthew Wright. It's Friday the 27th of March. I have to say a big, big thank you to everyone who got in touch after yesterday's show when we were discussing names that shame. And I told you how a friend of mine, Ben, claimed to be at school with twins, Andrew and Paul Ness, which caused much mirth whenever the register was called. A-Ness. Penis. Anyway, I had my doubts the Ness boys ever existed. So thank you, John from London, who emailed in to say how he went to Dollar Academy, David Van Day's old school in Scotland, perhaps the oldest boarding school in Scotland, in the 80s, with brothers Andrew Ness and Paul Ness. And then we had another one here from Sian, and she emailed to say that one of her schoolmates didn't know any Ness brothers, but did know an Andrew Paul Ness, or A Penis, if you use his initials. I blame the parents. Let's meet the panel. First up, David Van Day, ladies and gentlemen. Of all the things I know about you, David, the most surprising thing is that I hear you want to do Shakespeare.
Oh, yes. That's how I got into the business. I went to the Italian Conti in London. It was because of my Shakespeare. And I have a great love for it. Yeah. I want to play Puck, actually, in Midsummer Night's Dream. If we shadows have offended, think but this and all is mended.
It's like an audition, isn't it?
Yes. All right, we'll leave it there.
Next today we have Larry Turner, ladies and gentlemen. You all right?
Now, you know what, Matthew? When I'm told that you've booked a comic for the show, I tend to think, oh, my God, because they're always the most ego-driven, nightmare people. This guy is really nice.
Dave Gorman, he's a lovely man.
Yes.
Dave Gorman.
I'm just having abuse there.
Just watch your ankles. Just watch your ankles.
But the thing is, he's not as big a star as some people on this panel. We were talking about this horrendous magazine called Prog Rock earlier. That you're rather. Not only are you a fan, you actually appear. The thing is,
yes,
I have to say, that is your own sofa
That's
thing.
my inflatable sofa.
Can you not afford a real one?
I couldn't fit it in the house. It's so small.
Is it?
Yeah.
I should be living in that house, not you, then. 'Cause that's what. And you're wearing the dad jeans.
Yeah. Okay, dad jeans.
It's not the most fashionable of outfits.
Yeah, okay. Look at that. Chesney Hawkes saved my
But you look
life.
quite. Yeah. Well, that's worrying. But the hair, you look young.
Thanks,
It's
Larry.
very poor printing.
Thanks. Okay, if you're going to be like, if you're going to be cool to me, I went through Larry's handbag before I came on the show today, and she has a book in there which she purports to be something for her children. Mr. Floppy, it's called.
Yes,
isn't
it is.
Really?
Yes.
Such a disappointment for a young girl.
And then I told you how I was teaching all my children about Magic E.
Yeah.
It didn't occur to me that you said, what do you mean? I meant Magic E as in A and...
I thought she was talking about drugs.
No, not my house.
Do you two want to get a room?
No.
Just in the middle of this really weird dispute.
We've worked together for
like
6
being
years.
married.
It is.
It's longer than that, Larry. It's nearly 8 years.
It's nearly 8 years. Actually, it's longer than any of my marriages by a long way, which is why it works. Yeah.
Now, if you have a question, I should say, for Dave, you want to call in on the usual number, you need to do it right now. 0207 173 5555 is the number, because we're not going to be doing the papers until after the ads today. And Dave, as I'm sure you know, spends a lot of time searching for the unusual, including other Dave Gormans. 54 he met in all for his book, Are You Dave Gorman? Searching for Google Wax, which is, if I've got this right, any two words you search for that produce on Google that produce only one hit.
Yeah.
Travelling America, trying to avoid chain stores, and now on the search for geniuses.
Yes.
Genii. Geniuses?
Geniuses, yes.
Geniuses, right.
Yeah, genii is the plural of genie.
Is that right?
Apparently, yeah.
Okay.
I think. I might be wrong. Don't check.
What's the show about?
The show is it's sort of like a kind of drunk skew-whiff Dragon's Den or something. It's sort of it's members of the public who have ideas that they think make them genius, but they kind of it's the idea that you have in the pub, and then in the morning you go, oh, that was ridiculous, but actually it's got a hint of something about it. And we discuss them, we debate them, and we work out whether or not they are actually geniuses.
Hugely successful on Radio 4.
Yeah,
I had a go on it, and it was... I mean, the best thing about it, David, I think, is that it involves ordinary members of the public, real people. It puts them centre stage, and my God, they're very entertaining.
They're really, because they just defend the indefensible. They never sort of accept that their idea has flaws, even though it's really obvious that they do. So on the first show, we had Catherine Tate last week, got Frank Skinner tonight. It was one of the ideas was a way of winning a gold medal at the Olympics. You have 100-metre tall shoes. You enter the 100-metre sprint, and when they fire the pistol, you fall over. And so obviously you win the medal, but you do die doing it. And it's that kind of thing. But it sort of makes a little bit of sense.
Now, we have a lovely clip. Let's have a look at some of the wannabe geniuses in action. Here are Stuart and Tony sharing their idea with Dave and Judge Frank Skinner. It's fantastic. What has been the worst idea, the naffest idea?
Oh, we get so many things. We've started actually having a thing on the show where we go through the bin of rejected ideas because people don't believe quite what we get. We had someone send in a reversible ladder that can go up as well as down. And there's one on tonight's show where you can see Frank Skinner, I mean, he looks pretty confused in that clip, but he's reading out, someone's actually sent in shampoo and conditioner in one bottle. Like they've never left the house, they've never been in a shop. We had someone actually write to the show saying, I've tasted carrots and they're quite sweet. I think you can make a good cake with them. Go to a baker's.
This is really quite scary.
It's kind of weird.
What about, do you have any of your own?
I have ideas that sort of come as an adjunct to ideas we had. So on the radio show, we had someone say a mobile phone with a breathalyzer attached, so that if you were drunk, it wouldn't let you call your ex. Which is pretty genius, right? And I thought, well, I'd like a breathalyzer on a cash point machine, so that if I was drunk, instead of giving me money, it gave me taxi vouchers with my home address on.
Yes.
And ended the evening, yeah.
Could come in handy. Now, we saw you there with Frank Skinner. And if I got this right, Frank Skinner gave you a big break.
Yeah, well, he gave me my first ever paid gig. And the very first thing I did was like a workshop run by Frank for Amnesty International. It was like £2 to take part in this thing. And I did that with like 30 other sort of aspiring comics. And Frank and I kind of got on at that. And then 2 weeks later, I was at a gig and he was headlining. And he saw me at the back of the room and came up and said, oh, you were at that workshop, weren't you? And he gave me a phone number and said, ring this guy and I'll get you a sort of 15-minute gig in Birmingham, sort you out with 60 quid or something.
So I mean,
yeah.
he is a lovely bloke.
He is, absolutely,
He comes shining through. But it's really nice to hear that in a business role, I think people tend to think of everything being really sort of competitive. But there's someone out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we were gigging again together about 2 weeks ago. I did his thing. He's been doing these gigs in London with Credit Crunch Cabaret, and I did that. And it is lovely when these things come full circle and you meet again.
Dave, let me ask you something, because I've heard...
When you're not on your way down, of course. Then
Yes.
it's not so lovely.
Absolutely.
Were you a bit embarrassed when you started your stand-up routine? Because I've heard that you didn't even tell your friends, and the first time they saw you was actually on TV. Is that right?
Yeah, it's not that I was embarrassed. I've always thought the job was entertaining strangers. And if you put, like, friends or family in the audience, it's like having two audiences. So suddenly, if you've got, like, 800 people there, and 799 of them love it, but your friend thinking, no, that was all right. So you feel like you've died.
But are they the ones that encourage you in the first place? So you're really funny, you should be on telly doing that.
No, not at all. I just think it's got nothing to do with them. Like, one of my best friends, and the reason we've got closer and closer, when I first started doing stand-up, he said, oh, I'll come along. And I was like, you hate comedy. You never go to comedy.
How can you
And he
hate
went, yeah,
comedy?
you're right. Well, he's more into other things. You know, it's just like not his main thing. And he said, all right, you're right. And he never came to see me for about 10 years. And we'd still go out drinking together and we just had other interests.
As a way of keeping your friends as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I feel like doing true or false here. Is it true that you used to work in a video shop that sold videos that gentlemen loathed raincoats would choose to buy? Or indeed rent, Eric?
Yes, although, in fairness, some ladies in raincoats used to get them as well.
How intriguing.
I worked in a video shop just for one summer when I was a student, and it sold under-the-counter pornography. So it wasn't sort of anything like it was completely illegal, but it was illegal for that shop to be selling it. It wasn't a licensed shop, and it was slightly dodgy and a bit weird. And
Did you do anything for the weekend, sir? How did you alert the public to these illegal videos?
Well, everyone seemed to know. They used to come in and say, "Can I see the list?" And I would give them an A4 list, and they would find a title. They'd give me a number, and I'd go to the secret cupboard and get the video. I did have one motorcycle policeman come in. And say, can I see the list? And I said, what list? And he said, show me the list, Sonny. And I tried a couple of bluffs, and eventually he went, I can't swear, but he made it, no uncertain terms, that he wanted to see the list, and I gave him the list, and he rented a couple of videos. About a year after I'd left that, the shop got closed down, and the man was arrested who ran the shop. And he was the vice captain of the local golf club. And the headline in the local paper was, vice captain in vice shame. And my mum tore it out of the local paper and faxed it to me with a by-road note saying, so that's what you were doing that summer.
But there's another reason that you're famous, something to do with Google.
Oh, is this a Street View thing? Yeah, no, Google Street View launched recently. And I remember I was walking down Bethnal Green Road, like the high street near where I live, and I remember seeing one of the cars go by. And they're really weird, they have like big nest of cameras on.
Right, yeah.
And first of all, I sort of looked at it thinking, what's that? And then saw the logo on it, it was Google branded, and I thought, oh, right, now that's great. When they launched that Street View thing, I'm going to be there. So when they launched it, I went straight to Bethnal Green Road and on the little 100-yard stretch where I knew I was, and sure enough, there I am.
That's...
It's hard. People don't believe it's me, but I promise it's not the man holding the blue shirt, but the man leaning against the wall there. It looks like I'm wearing a big pink kipper tie.
Looks like you're looking for business.
No, that's the moment where I've suddenly realised, oh no, oh God, and I've backed away, trying to get away from the camera, trying to avoid it.
Because they've got Liam Gallagher drinking in a pub, haven't they? I believe.
Yeah. And there's a TV presenter, Dougie Anderson, who I know, who's on there as well, walking down the street in Camden. There's a few people out there.
How bizarre. Now, a question from our audience, I think, Eric.